The World Juniors have done it again. Another year and another banger tournament with some of the most exciting hockey you could ask for as a fan. And the gold medal game lived up to the hype as well, with the US looking for their first ever back-to-back championships and the Finns looking to win their first since 2019. And halfway through the game, it was looking very promising for the Finns to do just that. Well, until this moment at least, because this is where everything changed. But first, let's backtrack to how we got here in the first place. Coming into this game, the US were heavy favorites considering they had brought back 10 guys from their championship-winning roster from last year, which was one of the most dominant wins in recent memory, considering they went undefeated throughout the entire tournament. And things stayed more or less the same this year, considering the Americans led the tourney in goals scored, goals against, and power play percentage coming into the gold medal game. But on the other hand, the Finns were the only team to hand this US team a loss in the last 2 years, beating them 4-3 in OT during the preliminary round earlier in this tournament, thanks mostly due to some poor puck management by the US and some very effective rush offense by the Finns.
Now Connolly with it. That's knocked away, and a chance now short-handed. Alessiorwa moves in and shoots, scores! R2 Alessiorwa, short-handed goal, and the Finns have taken the lead. Leave Boya moves in, that's picked off and brought back the other way by Alessiorwa, who had that short-handed goal a moment ago. Great move, Alessiorwa, in, backhand shot, stopped by Augustine. By wearing a striped shirt, Kumpalainen feeds that down. Nifty move by Hulton, centers it, shot, score! In comes Hudson, winds it and shoots, rip it and save. And now a chance for Erlin, back the other way. 3-on-1 for the Finns. Erlin, Alessiorwa, shoots, scores! Thomas Erlin, overtime winner! And the Finns defeat the United States!
And the Finns would carry this momentum into the gold medal game as well, as they came out flying, controlling most of the play early on. And once again, the same puck mismanagement from the US and Finland's ability to make plays on the rush would give the Finns a comfortable lead midway through the game.
Topias Huttunen takes the return pass, flips it back across to Emil Hemming. Hemming drops in the high slot, Kiskinen shoots, scores! And the beat goes on for Jesse Kiskinen. Banked back out by Hemming, moved ahead to Erlin. Thomas Erlin gets a step and shoots, scores! Erlin steps to the Augustine shoulder, and the Finns are right back on top. Long shift here in the offensive zone for the Finns. Ruonen did it a couple of times in the first period as well. Pieniemi. Two U.S. players collide. Pieniemi in, shoots, scores!
At this point, the game was in complete control of the Finns, with a 3-1 lead and with the shots being 14-9 in their favor. But that's when the game completely changed, thanks to this. While it may have seemed like a completely harmless celly, this Superman celebration was a direct jab back at the US, who had done the very same thing in their semi-final game against the Czechs.
Up ahead to Connolly, throws it back, Eiserman scores! Cole Eiserman, power play goal, and the United States is back on top.
To execute, this is a hard shot to execute. He gets down on one knee and Cole Eiserman.
And if you've been following this core of the US roster over the past 2 tournaments, they seem to love any type of confrontation from their opponents. And my goodness, did this ever rile up this team. In the 10 minutes after the third Finnish goal, the shots would go from 14-9 in favor of the Finns to 21-17 in favor of the US. That's 11 shots to just 3 in a 10-minute span. And eventually, all that pressure exerted by the US would result in a fortuitous bounce, where a point shot by Svoboda would find a Finnish butt and deflect perfectly into the corner of the net to cut the deficit to just 1. And just 2 minutes later, the US's Cole Hudson would pull off this incredible solo effort to tie the game.
Hudson winds in, waits and shoots, scores! Cole Hudson ties the game with 28 seconds to go in the second. And the U.S. comes back with 2 late goals in the period to square it up.
Exuberant celebration by Cole Hudson.
Yeah, that's Cole Hudson returning the very same celebration right back to the finish to tie up the game. Even Bob McKenzie on the TSN panel noticed how the Finnish celly on their third goal probably riled up the Americans.
And interesting, after the goal was scored by Hudson, he pulled out the old Superman move, which was done, of course, earlier now. It was done earlier in the game, by Pieniemi when he scored his. Hudson did his. Yzerman did that. So I know Superman is a true American superhero, but apparently it's being culturally appropriated by the Finns. And now there's probably some hard feelings about that. It'll be interesting to see who gets to play Superman in the third period here.
The US would really dominate the rest of the game from there on out, with the Finnish goaltender absolutely standing on his head to keep the Finns alive. The shot totals at the end of regulation favored the US 32-22, which, if you're keeping track, adds up to 23 shots to just 8 after this moment. And unfortunately for the Finns, not much would change in OT. The Americans would continue to exert pressure, ultimately leading to this moment.
Boyan, lead pass for Stiga. Here comes Teddy Stiga. Oh, Stiga shoots, scores! Teddy Stiga, golden goal! And the United States has won back-to-back World Junior gold medals for the first time in its history.
That's got to be one of the nicest tournament-winning passes in World Juniors history from Zeev Boyum, to spring Teddy Stiga of all guys, who buries his first goal of the tournament to win gold for his team. The second half of this game was just dominated by Ryan Leonard, Cole Hudson, and Zeev Boyum. They were all over the Finns, and just completely looked like they were a class above. Cole Hudson, in particular, made history by being the first defenseman ever to lead the tournament in scoring. These Hudson brothers honestly seem like they're going to be an absolute pain in the ass on the blue line for every other opposing team for decades to come. The head fakes per 60 are going to be through the roof once both of them are permanent fixtures in the league. All in all, I think this was a fantastic tournament to watch, even though my team exited the tourney early on. Every year it seems we see more and more upsets, and the competition seems to be increasing up and down the tournament. A tournament that was once dominated by Canada and the Russians has way more parity today, with any of Canada, the US, Finland, Sweden, or Czechia being capable of winning any given year. And that creates for some amazing, free-flowing hockey that only the World Juniors can provide. What did you think about this gold medal game? Do you agree with me that the Superman celebration by the Finns was the turning point in the game? I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you choose to subscribe, as only 5% of you are currently subscribed, and I'd love to move that number upwards. Thanks for watching.